Galaxy Volume 3, Rating 13, now streaming only on Disney Plus. Purina One. We switched and wow. From day one, its proven natural nutrition supports Charlie's strong immune system and Ginger's healthy heart. Healthy differences today and for a lifetime. Purina One, a difference from day one. Introducing a revolution in pain relief. New Absorbine Junior Pro, the strongest numbing pain relief available. It's the only solution with 2 max strength anesthetics for deep penetrating relief. Absorbine Junior Pro. Nothing numbs pain more.
Centrum Silver is now clinically shown to support cognitive health in older adults. It's one more step towards taking charge of your health. So every day you can say, Centrum Silver.
Delicious flavors. Worth handing over. They're great.
Hey y'all, my name is Tiara, and a little thing that I love about the Chick-fil-A spicy chicken biscuit is that it has the perfect amount of spice to jumpstart my day. I just love how the biscuit just matches perfectly with the spice on the chicken fillet. Whoever thought of it, thank you so much.
The Bush Guy, bold and smooth survival skills. Stop.
Leaves of 3, leave them be. Cans of 6, take your pick.
And head for the mountains of...
This mansion is unhinged.
Disney's Haunted Mansion. Rated PG-13. Now in theaters.
One of the weirdest feelings about being out here, feels like the world is completely ended.
If you're gonna take the risk, you better have the guts to back it up.
So the U.S. claims the Rio Grande is the border between the two countries. Mexico disagrees and says the Nueces River, just north of that, was the border.
They basically send troops farther and farther across the border into what's then Tamaulipas. It's just to trigger a war with Mexico.
The U.S. Army had more money, they had more food, they had better weapons, they had every material advantage. And yet, the resistance they encountered every step of the way, not just by Mexican armed forces, but by Mexican civilians, exceeded their expectations.
But in essence, they lose because this provides the pretext for the United States to say we've been attacked by Mexico, we are declaring war, and we need to defend ourselves.
It was the first war that the U.S. fought against another republic that was based on greed. There was no great moral argument behind fighting this war.
There was another group of Americans, Abraham Lincoln among them, who were deeply uneasy about waging what was nakedly a war of conquest against Mexico, a war with very little pretense, a war that could perhaps expand the terrain that was open to American slavery.
Westward expansion had spread slavery south beyond the Mississippi and into Texas, sparking a moral debate over its legality.
And there was reason to believe that slavery would follow into other territory taken from Mexico, into New Mexico, into California.
There were massive anti-war protests. There was tremendous desertion among the troops themselves. The level of atrocities and what we would call war crimes were off the charts. And we know this from letters that officers wrote back home saying, I am morally outraged by the larceny, by the rape, by the scorched earth movement of the American troops through Mexican territory.
By occupying New Mexico and California through military force, Polk would be able to cut at the heart of Mexico. With an army led by General Winfield Scott, would seize Mexico through its weakest border, the Atlantic Ocean.
Different branch of the American Army goes by sea in the Gulf of Mexico to the port city of Veracruz, and then U.S. troops move into Mexico City and occupy the capital.
It was America's first experience occupying a foreign country. The U.S. actually conquered Mexico City. It conquered the capital of Mexico.
And at that point, the designs of the war become patently clear as the two countries come together to draft an end to hostilities. And it was clear at that point that the treaty was going to involve a territorial exchange.
So there was a debate towards the end of the U.S.-Mexico War about how much land the U.S. should try to seize from Mexico. There was one faction in Congress that actually wanted all of Mexico. The U.S. had actually conquered the capital city of Mexico, and they thought that that entitled the United States to all of Mexico's territory. This was called the All Mexico Movement.
And so one of the arguments against the all-Mexican movement was, from the point of view of a white Protestant dominant culture in the United States, was that it would be a bad thing to take that much of Mexico because there'd be way too many Mexicans living there. And we can't have mixed-race people. We can't have Catholics functionally incorporated into what we're calling democracy. And so one of the things that's important to understand about where the border ended up is not just in terms of territory, but in terms of demographics. And so for the American expansionists, it struck just the right balance of as much territory as you could get with the fewest number of Mexicans in it.
In signing the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Mexico would release control of over 525,000 square miles of valuable territory.
The United